Hi, I'm Rappler Entertainment reporter Isa Abad.
And I'm Rappler Entertainment Editor Marguerite de Leon.
And welcome to Stand By Me, Rappler's talk show on all things fandom. And for today's episode, we have Bernie Mercado, founder of Penlab, and Marian Hukom, a Penlab comics creator and Rappler's graphic artist to talk about the Pinoy comics community.
Yeah.
So ayun, thank you so much po for coming to our show. Especially Bernie and Marian.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. So can you give us a bit of introduction for yourselves? Where did you grow up? What did you study? And before Penlab, what were you working on?
So I'm Bernie. So I founded Penlab and I'm the editor-in-chief. And I was born in Mindanao. I grew up in Cagayan de Oro City. And back then, parang we were in an underdeveloped area. So parang binibuild pa lang yung bridges. So yung interest ko sa comics was because of yung pirated manga before. So parang pupunta kami ng brother ko, maglalakad kami all the way to parang it's a pedicab ride away yung computer shop. So wala talagang access in that place. It's not for all of Mindanao, of course. But yung interest ko doon nag-start. So we would pay 15 pesos, I think, 10 pesos just to rent a computer for about an hour reading One Piece. So parang yun talaga yung naging start nun. And then I thought that there's not much access outside Metro Manila.
Right.
So what if there was a place where you could actually find our local stories all in one place?
Mm-hmm.
So yun yung parang anecdote lang about how I grew up, and then I moved abroad after.
Oh, I see.
So I moved to the Middle East in Qatar, where doon ako nag-graduate. And then I saw that in the Middle East there were comics in groceries and convenience. So I discovered Archie and I collected them. And then pag pupunta ka sa cashier area, like walang comics, right? In SM, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the Middle East, laging may comics doon sa side. So, ang ginagawa ko, pinupuslit ko sa parents ko yung comics. Sinasabay ko sa pinibili nila.
Sneaky.
And that's how I got into collecting comics. And after graduating high school, doon ako bumalik ulit and experience like parang culture shock in Manila. Yun. And I studied film. So, parang visual writing talaga yung background ko and not prose. So, parang yung life ko back then, I didn't really envision that I would go into comics kasi parang it was like just a dream or parang maybe I could do comics one day.
Yeah.
But I couldn't draw. So, I went to the parang closest thing I could do, which was movies. So back then I was interested in manga, so I was making black and white movies because it looked like manga.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
So yun, but then, parang I started trying to do movies very seriously. But then eventually I found that it wasn't for me. Not because of the medium itself, but because it wasn't parang the community that I
Was a part.
that I kind of supported.
Right. Or felt that you could thrive in or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So parang because when you make movies, right, you need like big funding to get to make one. So it's a very long process. So I was going for like since I graduated, I haven't made a film since I graduated. I graduated 2015. It's been 8 years since. And parang in 2015, I was envisioning I would go to Europe, make movies on screen there. But eventually, na-realize ko it's better to stay here and champion a community where it's more needed. That support is more needed.
And one of the people you're championing is Marian.
Yes, so I'm grateful that you stayed here.
Sige.
Just the Europe, no? Ayun. So hello, I'm Marian, born and raised in Las Piñas. And how I got into comics. So, before, gusto ko talaga maging writer. Writer yung una kong passion. Tapos, drawing is just a hobby since marunong mag-drawing yung kuya ko tsaka yung tito ko. So, nakisabay lang ako. So, after that, tinry ko naman magsulat-sulat short stories and stuff. And then, pagdating nung high school, same na pirated manga. Pirated manga sa mga com shop or kaya sa computer lab ng high school
I
namin.
see.
Lagi ako nagbabasa. And then, because of that, ginawan ko rin ng manga yung friends ko. Manga. So, aka sketchpad lang siya. Tapos, nagdo-drawing lang ako ng, kunyari, everyday na shenanigans namin. And then, babasahin siya ng buong classroom. So, kumbaga, low-key serialization.
Yeah.
So, ayun. Tapos, may mga friends ako na hihingi sila ng update na nasa na yung issue 2, ganun. So, parami yung sketchpad ko. Para lang magawa yun. And then, dun ko siya nagustuhan. Mas gusto ko yung gumawa ng comics kesa illustrations.
Right.
Pero inisip ko pa rin siya sa hobby. And then, pagdating nung college, napunta ako sa multimedia arts. Gusto ko talaga mag-join. Pero because of circumstances, nag-MMA ako. And kumuha ko ng comics na elective. So, dun sa elective na yun, yung final project namin is one full na comics.
Wow.
So, gumawa naman ako, nakaabot ako ng mga 20 pages. Yun yung Palaso. Yun yung very first comic ko. And then, nung pinasa ko siya, ang baba ng grade ko.
Wow.
What? For shame, teacher.
So parang nainis ako dahil mababa yung grade ko dahil lang may technical issues na yung formatting, ganun. Pero okay naman yung story. So,
Okay.
ang ginawa ko is, out of spite, ganun. Sinali ko siya sa Comiket, my very first Comiket, 2017. First time ko mag-merchant, first time ko yung mag-table. Tapos sinali ko siya sa contest. Tapos nanalo siya.
Yes.
Oh shit, edi ginawa ko lang yun out of spite. Tapos tinuloy-tuloy ko na. Na dahil nga, sayang naman may gawa na ako.
True.
Why not? Tapos nagustuhan ko talaga yung community na parang very niche, very small lang kami no first. And then, parang very connected lahat. Kapag pupunta ka sa convention, magkakamustahan kayo lahat.
True. Yeah.
So fun. Tapos nag-iintay talaga sila ng update sa mga gawa mo. Parang nung classroom ko lang before. So yun yung nagustuhan kong vibe. And then, of course, as a visual person, mas gusto ko nga yung nakikita ko yung images. Very picture book. Di ko na kaya basa ng full novel ngayon. Pero yun, doon ako nag-start ng comics. And ever since then, tuloy-tuloy. Naging thesis ko rin siya.
Oh.
So, yun yung Maria Clara, which is, ayun, na-pick up rin ni Bernie sa Penlab. Tapos, nagtuloy-tuloy.
Okay.
Mm.
Ayun. So,
Penlab.
yeah. Speaking of
ayun,
Penlab, parang, could you tell us, Bernie, of yung origin story mismo ng company?
So yung parang pinaka-genesis talaga ng Penlab was when I was starting to get into webcomics.
Okay.
There was a webcomic before by Fred Gallagher called Mega Tokyo. And basically back then kasi there were comics creators who were uploading one page a day
I see.
sa websites nila.
Oo.
Like there was a different kind of era, parang early 2000s. And then some of those parang nag-Tumblr din ata yung ibang artists na gano'n. So parang ganun yung culture back then, and we kind of tried to do something like that when we were starting Penlab. But yung pinaka-start talaga dun was when I got rejected twice for like 2 of my passion projects. So the first was a movie that I actually got funding from.
Oh, wow.
So I was making a movie and parang midway na snap yung production. So something I can't say much, I guess.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Ayan, hindi natuloy yung
Oo.
film. And then the other was that I was trying to develop a graphic novel and pitching it to a local publisher. At that time, kasi sobrang introvert ako. I still am. I wasn't self-publishing yet, so I was going straight to a publisher
Yeah.
at the time. And I was just working with an editor to get the book out there. And then, hindi rin natuloy yung book.
Right.
So I thought that if I couldn't do this movie and I couldn't do this graphic novel, then maybe I can do this by myself
Yourself, yeah.
and maybe help others along the way. So ganun yung It was during, I think, 2018. Was it 2018 na Comic-Con? When we first conceived of Penlab. It's like, let's make a website. Because we wanted to make a website for ourselves. But in the first place. But it's the same cost if you're making a website for one person, not for one group versus an entire community. It's almost the same cost.
Yeah.
So we just thought that we'd invite everyone. And so parang I went out of my introverted shell and just mass message everyone
Cool.
That you know.
na let's join.
Uh,
Kasi that time, and then nagka-pandemic. And that's when it really took off. Kasi parang the convention scene kind of was put on
yeah.
pause.
On hold, yeah.
So there was no cons to go to. Then we launched Penlab as still a way to get the comics community active and para makapagbasa pa rin yung readers at that time. Then we started with this group called Calaba Collective and made a comic called Katipunera Warrior. So we grew that comic to get a following, and then we use that comic to kind of get followings for everyone by launching Penlab. So
For those-
mostly yun yung pinaka-origin niya.
For those who aren't familiar too much with how Penlab works, like what exactly does it offer as a service?
So Penlab is basically a hosting platform. So now meron ng features to self-upload. So you can just register, log in, and then upload there. But in the early times, you had to submit to me via G Drive. So yun, like mano-mano siya dati. Just like a lot of work. So like parang 12-hour shift a day just to get everyone to upload.
So, in our previous Stand By Me episode, we guested Logie High, whose works is also uploaded in Penlab, and now we have Marian. So, in terms of the creators uploading their works in Penlab, paano yung nagiging process pa? Do they have to reach out to you? And may standards pa kayo or criteria when it comes to like the creators?
Right now, parang it's all for free na. Like, before it was curated when we were still growing because we were trying to grow the platform, and that time dalawa lang kami. Like, just two people with my co-founder si Nisi. So malit lang din yung bandwidth namin too. And then now we grew, so now people can also self-upload on Penlab. But then we also have these titles we call Penlab Originals. So yun yung mga titles we fund, yung production, yung mga full-time artists.
Are you one of the full-time artists, or how was your experience working with Penlab?
Ang experience ko working with Penlab was nice. Yung na-serialize under Penlab was Office Meet, yung isang comic ko.
When was that?
Last year?
Yeah.
Last year,
I think
no?
late last year?
Oo.
Last year, yeah.
Late last year siya. So, yung naging process nun is, ayun, gagawa kami ng script, tapos edit, and then drawing, and then upload. Parang ganon. So, very ano lang siya. For me, ito experience ko. Lax naman. Experience sa iba. So, very ano naman siya. Lax naman yung editing process namin. Nagigets niya naman yung sinasabi ko and may inputs rin siya, which is, of course, yung may mga marami na natutunan. And, ayun, nagagawa naman siya every week na na-upload. Minsan may mga delays. So, parang, yun nga, kasi, hindi ako di sanay na magkaroon ng actual comic serialization sa Pilipinas in this modern time.
Right.
Like, ayun, parang ang nangyayari before nung convention floor ng Comic-Con, yung nahabol lang na deadlines is tuwing may convention. So, like, quarterly siya, ganun. So, doon ko lang naranasan sa Penlab yung, kunyari, weekly or like bi-weekly, ganun. Parang, doon ko na-experience na, ganito pala mag-comics talaga sa profession. So, yun siya.
That's cool. So, Penlab just turned 3 last September 5. Congratulations. 3 is a long time. That's for an outfit like yours. So, what's the most important thing you've learned so far in your 3 years as Penlab's founder?
Ano ba? Para kasing back then when we were starting out, kasi 'di ba yung coming from the background of manga. Parang yung gusto mo talaga is ma-serialize, right? And then live with comics as a profession.
Yeah.
So parang yun talaga yung pinaka-end goal, and a lot of, parang yun pinaka-dream ng creators. Ayun. But then you realize that parang medyo mahirap din actually
Right.
to emulate what yung nasa abroad,
Japan.
international.
Yeah.
Like yung with manga. There's an overworking culture in Japan
Okay, that's true.
and also in Western. So like, I guess even if you have the resources, you also have to consider yung contexts ng creators. So that's yung pinaka-biggest learning namin, is to adjust to the context of our creators. And like, para kasing yung pinaka-struggle is when you are working and drawing, writing your comic for a paycheck, but it's your personal comic. So parang medyo mapafrazzle ka
Yeah.
to actually do it kasi nagka-clash yung personal mo and yung parang comic side. So ang nangyayari na lang is you're just trying to churn out the content for the content's sake, but then we realize that it's kind of a dishonest way of working.
Sure.
So parang really finding ano ba yung timelines where you can find the support of this creator and we'll be able to tell the full story as it is, na hindi na betray yung kung ano yung gusto ng creator and what is true to them.
Yeah, kasi like every artist has a very unique creative process. So parang it's a matter of like adjusting to each one, right? So I would imagine that's pretty hard kasi parang you're handling so many artists, diba?
True.
Tapos parang iba-iba yung parang timelines and
Yeah.
and the ways you deal with them, I guess.
Yeah,
Ayun.
I think like over the 3 years, parang it really felt like 10. Kasi parang you're always handling so many people and like iba-iba yung gusto ng some person na to, iba rin yung
Yeah.
other people.
Uh-uh.
Ganun.
Tsaka,
But then you always have to understand each one.
Of course.
true. I can imagine kasi obviously those artists have like different styles also. So aside from the challenges, what are the best parts of handling Penlab over the 3 years? And also same goes with you, like as a creator, ano yung naging challenge mo and blessing mo under like being a Penlab comics creator?
For me, yung blessing ko is, first of all, nabigyan ako ng platform. Yun yung kanina, nagustuhan ko yung point tungkol sa accessibility. Because na-realize ko over the pandemic, nung nag-quarantine, akala ko tapos na yung peak nung comic ko sa convention floor. Like, nagkaroon ako ng fanbase, okay na lahat. Pero nagkaroon pa siya ng parang second peak dahil naging available siya online.
Right.
Yeah.
So, doon ko na-realize na meron talagang market. Hindi lang ma-reach kasi walang way to reach them. So, nung nangyari yun, ayun, naging thankful ako. And ngayon, alam ko na meron more avenues. And then, binibigyan naman ako ng Penlab ng opportunities to spread out yung comic ko. And then, ayun, cute na nagkaroon siya ng second life. So, parang, ganun. Tapos, nagkakaroon din ng feedback. So, yun yung blessings. Just more avenues talaga.
Yeah. Like, I guess yung sa'yo na, ayun, na-feature yung Nagmamahal Maria Clara over and over. Like, nasa newspaper na bigla.
Love it.
Ganun. So, nagulat rin ako sa mga, sunod-sunod na events, yung pang press weeks.
Ikaw ba, did you expect for Penlab to blow up this way?
I hoped it would, but I didn't expect it. So I guess parang low expectations because I was coming from a place of getting rejected over and over.
Yeah.
So yun. But for blessings, I guess kasi it's happy when the readers, a first perspective yung sa readers. Like it's happy when they enjoy yung comics and they finally get in, parang nabudol sila into the comics community. That's one. The other is also the fact that parang may ibang readers nagsabi that it helped them get through the pandemic because of Penlab. So there are those parang small moments that you treasure because your efforts translated into someone being happy about this dream. And there's also the creator side where you're just happy that you see their works get bigger and get more known to people because parang it's really difficult to market your work alone.
True.
You
Yes.
go to a convention and you kind of can get drowned
Yeah.
in like all the other mahirap to get yung attention.
Yeah.
But if you are working with someone, then it also helps.
Mm-mm.
And then parang added bonus na yung maging libro yung work.
Mm-mm.
And so we've seen creators get published either sa Comiket or sa amin. Right now we launched our imprint this year. So we published naka 4 books na kami and we're publishing 4 more
Nice.
Wow.
this October.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that sounds great. And speaking of mga projects niyo currently, you recently brought Penlab to Davao for its Philippine Book Festival. So kasama si Logie Hai doon, di ba? So how would you describe comicero culture in the Philippines in general? Like, is there a difference between yung comics culture here in Manila and those in the regions?
I think for the most part, medyo Manila-centric pa yung
Yeah.
comics.
Sure.
But nagsastart na siyang mag-grow outside Manila. So merong mga groups, I think, in
Region.
other regions like Iloilo. May group of Ilonggo creators. So I think that's good and that's a good start.
Yeah.
And ako personally from the region, so I try to inject my culture din,
Yeah.
yung culture from Mindanao in my own books. But I think parang there's a lot of work to do pa to get outside kasi medyo nasa bubble pa lang talaga yung comics. So like it's not like a comics, it's a comics problem, but it's not the problem of the creators. It's more of yung channels for distribution wala masyado except the conventions.
Mm-mm.
Like you could always, I guess, get into a comic shop or
Consignment.
consign, but kulang pa rin. So yung main and I guess yung sa medium in itself, yung competing attention spans of comics versus parang let's say TikTok videos or reels and parang there's more effort one needs to read comics and that's a big challenge and actually even when you're reading sa phone
Right.
like magbabasa ka ng comics sa phone but then biglang mag-notif tapos you just ignore
Yeah.
the comic so that's a big challenge but I'm happy that we're starting to get out there and I hope that more creators can also go there outside Manila.
So, speaking of readership, may napansin pa kayo as to like what kind of genre or style yung madalas na patok when it comes to the Penlab audience? And you, Marian, as a creator, may specific style or like theme ka ba when it comes to creating stories?
For me, yung theme ko when I'm creating comics, nagsimula kasi ako sa mga women-oriented,
Oh.
advocacy-oriented na comics sa thesis ko. So, doon yung Maria Clara. Pero recently, nag-explore ako more on gusto ko ng mga comedy or rom-coms, yung mga feel-good lang. And dahil nga, personally, gusto ko rin I want to feel good while I'm creating.
Mm-mm.
So, yun yung mga in-explore kong genre. And cute naman siya kapag nagkakaroon siya ng reach. So, yun yung Opie Smith, naging naging comedy siya.
Oh.
And then, mga ganon, gusto ko ng mga whack na stuff. Parang live, laugh, love na lang ako ngayon.
And for readership, yung pinakapatok talaga ay yung queer stories.
Oh, yeah.
So interesting.
So yung parang top title ng Penlab ang Joke and Crosswise is BL. With a mix of fantasy. So yun yung pinaka talaga. The others manga style, webtoon style. So those three, webtoon style, manga style, and queer stories, BL and GL. Like right now, yung pinaka-active na top na popular comic is yung Careless Confidential ni
Ni
Logie
Logie Hai. Shout out to Claire.
Tsaka like, I scroll rin sa Penlab website. Parang ang daming stories about Filipino mythology, which is like so interesting. Kasi diba, parang not all countries have that kind of mythology. So, ang ganda niyang na-highlight siya.
Yeah.
Yeah, yan pa yung isa na na most popular din apart from the queer story. So, yung mythology.
Mythology part.
Talagang world building.
Oo, correct.
Mm-mm.
So, in contrast, like, are there kinds of comics or genres na you wish were more popular here in the Philippines? Both for you and Marian.
So, yung bestseller ng books namin right now, Spirit Prince, is a comics for children.
Okay.
So, it's middle grade young adult comics. So, I wish there were more of those. And that it could get more popular. Kasi parang walang masyado or there's very few comics that are meant for young readers.
Yeah.
So, I want more of that personally. And also more queer stories, more queer comics. I want an entire shelf, in a bookstore
Yeah.
na puro queer comics, puro children's comics. So, yun lang yung personal wants ko about what comics should be more popular. But basically, I just hope that comics that are true to themselves, like sa creator, that could get more popular. Kasi sometimes creators do tend to adjust to
Yeah.
mainstream wants.
Yes.
Parang, let's do this because this is popular. But sometimes, all we need is to just be true to ourselves and hope that that can be popular and we can have a support system behind it. Then maybe it can be popular.
Correct.
So parang yung naging, parang is ethos the word? Parang,
Yeah, it is.
namin sa Penlab is that it doesn't matter if your comic fits a certain bill. If you're true to yourself, then we can always find a way to get it popular. So it's really about trying to make this kind of story because we're all just chartering waters pa lang.
Yeah.
That maybe this thing can be popular, that maybe the Filipino readers don't know yet.
How about you, Marian?
Nagustuhan ko yung sinabi niya na na creators being true to themselves. So yun yung gusto ko makita rin. Yung mga more on slice of life na genre or parang medyo autobio in a way.
Yeah.
Gusto ko yung mga reflective type of pieces kasi it makes you feel, mas lalo ako relatable siya. It makes you feel less alone na may ganito pala na meron yung same person na gano'n rin yung pinagdadaanan. And parang mawala yung stigma na yung stigma na mahirap na mag-get in touch with our feelings.
True.
Na parang gusto ko maging mas introspective both creators and readers. Because that way you'll learn more about yourself talaga.
True. Nice. Kasi that was supposed to be my next question. What do you want to see for the local Pinoy community in the coming years? So, I'm curious lang that you mentioned, di ba, like kapag nagiging popular yung works, usually it gets published. How do you feel about like local Pinoy comic books getting adapted to like visual or like film, since film major ka din?
I think it's okay as long as it doesn't betray the source material.
Yeah.
Para ayun na it's not meant. Comics, I guess, shouldn't be meant, or maybe sometimes it is, but shouldn't be meant as just like a pitch deck for an adaptation.
Yeah.
So parang separate, I guess, yung comics life to the film life. Parang yun din yung ginawa ko when I moved from film to comics. It's like I really threw away yung
Thinking
ko sa film to really transition into comics.
Right.
So yung ganun. But I think yung adaptations, they're necessary so that people know more comics. But the adaptations have to be good. Like I guess yung sa One Piece, right? Like the adaptation of One Piece, I think, is good.
Okay.
So it also is helping yung mga hindi fans to get
Into it.
Yeah. So the same way, if we can get more adaptations of comics na maganda, then we could help pull readers into comics.
Okay. Yeah. So we're unfortunately down to our last question. So for the both of you, any upcoming projects or events you'd like to promote?
Okay, so for events, first, we're going to October Comic-Con and Pas Comic-Con, Bullet Fest, and pupunta din kami sa SGCC, so in Singapore.
Oh,
Wow.
Cool.
So if there are Singaporean watchers here, Penlab is going to SGCC.
Awesome.
And then for yung new book projects namin, we have a couple of new titles in development. So kasi when we started yung imprint namin this year, mostly we were publishing series. So we're publishing more one-shot graphic novels. And then we're doing 3 anthologies. So the first is Silakbo. It's a GL anthology edited by Logihai.
Nice.
So we have at least 10 GL creators in one book. And then we're going to do a slice of life and romance anthology. And the last is an anthology for young readers.
Ayun.
Yeah.
Promoting your love for children. Yeah. Perfect.
Ikaw, Mark.
So, same na pupunta ako ng Comiket this October, yung Halloween one. Magte-table ako dun. And hopefully for Comiket also. And then as for works, right now, naka-laylow lang yung mga comics ko. Pero you can still read them at Penlab dun sa app.
So yeah, read them at Penlab, catch them at Comiket. And that's it for our episode today. Thank you so much, Bernie and Marian. So if you have anything that you want us to discuss and stand by me, please hit us up on Rappler's social media accounts. I'm Isa Abad.
And I'm Marguerite De Leon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Mm.